Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So on today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how to draft this bustier corset, and in our next tutorial I'll share with you how to sew it, and in our next tutorial I'll be sharing with you guys how to make this kimono jacket. So if today's your first time joining this or seeing this channel, make sure you like, drop a comment and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started with the bustier corset. We'll go ahead to start our drafting. So I'm going to mark a starting point or my starting line, so that's going to serve as my center front line. Okay, so we're starting with the front pattern, and I'm just going to go ahead and impute my body measurement. So I would put my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I will also go ahead and mark my neck width and my neck depth. Okay, the shoulder I'll be working with is, I think it should be around 9 or so, something like that. I don't remember. Then I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I don't know. I think you guys should know how to do these things. If you are my student, this shouldn't be a problem. But if you don't know how to draft the basic bodies, you can kindly check our video. We have a tutorial on how to draft a basic body, so it will guide you when we are doing something like this. And I'm not explaining so much about the basic bodies pattern, okay? Because I won't be making emphasis on the basic bodies. All right. So I'll just go ahead and get the armhole line and then create our armhole, and I'll also go ahead and mark the other body measurements of the camera, and I will show you guys. Okay, I'm just trying to get a straight line for my armhole line. You guys know how to get that armhole line. Your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. In case you do not know, I would advise you to go and watch our basic bodies drafting pattern. Okay, so that's it. Now after doing that, I'll just go ahead and extend my line, and that's going to be my chest line. So I've gone ahead to mark other measurements. I also created my armhole. I marked my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, and the length of the top rather. And although I will still go ahead and add the length to the length, so that we can get the exact style on the inspiration. But I'm just labeling the points so you know. Now we're going to go ahead and mark our nipple to nipple, which is your bust span divided by 2. For mine, divided by 2 is 4.25. All right, so I'm going to mark it at the bust point, at the under bust, at the waist, and at the top length. Okay, so after doing that, I will just go ahead and connect into a straight line with my straight ruler, and that's just it. So after connecting into a straight line, I'll just extend the line up a little bit. So on the underbust, you're going to contour our underbust or tighten, however you call it. So this is for a busty person, mind you, and I've done tutorials on bustier, so I don't know, this shouldn't be something new. But if you're just seeing this for the first time, please, it's still the same thing. I will explain the same way I explained for every other one. So for this is a busty person. I'll be going in by 2 inches on the side. All right, you can go in by 2 or 1.75. I think I eventually use 1.75. She's busty, yes, but I also don't want it to look too too deep because of the style. It is not so so it depends on what you want. And I know I've thought about how to determine how much you're using on your underbust. The bust that will help or will make you to know how much you should take for your underbust tightening. Okay, so for her bust that is 2 inches, that's the difference between her front and her waistline, but I will still be using 1.75. Okay, you can still go ahead and use 2 inches if you wish to, but I'll go ahead and use 1.75. And on the other side, which is towards the center, I will go ahead and use 0.5. Okay, and I'll just connect that into a straight line with my straight ruler. So having done that, this is what we have so far. So on the bust line, like I always say, on the bust point, you're going to come down by 1 inch or 0.75. Because she's on the busty side, I'll be coming down by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to connect using my curve ruler to connect to that 1 inch. All right, and I will also use my ruler the other side to connect as well. So this is what we have so far. Now for her cleavage, that is how open she wants the center to be. I don't know if you should know what cleavage is. For the cleavage, I'll be using 8 inches. Okay, and then for the over bust side, I'll be making use of, I think I used 8 inches as well. 8 to 7. I don't know. I think it should be 8 inches. Yeah, this is based off of her measurement. Okay, I always advise you take your measurement instead of assuming. All right, so this is what I have. So on that over bust, I'm going to tighten by 1 inch on both sides. Remember, she's busty. You want to make sure that this holds her very well. All right, you want to make sure that it's fits her and it grabs her boobs as much as it can. So that is why I'm doing 1 inch on both sides. Now if the person is not so busty, you can go ahead and do 0.75 on both sides. Now after doing that, I'll just go ahead and extend this line to the armhole, although I won't be using this because this is not the style. I had to check the style again to be sure of what I was doing. Okay, so just pardon me for that. We'll go ahead and correct that. But if this is what you're working with, just at that point at your armhole line, go out by what you tightened your overbust with and replace it. You understand? And towards the chest line, also check what you have there and also replace it. But because of the style we are working with is not this, you will see what I will do after we've corrected that. Okay, but if you're doing something like this, please go ahead and always replace whatever you tighten or you remove. Okay, very, very important, so you don't have shortage. Now we are going to go ahead and connect the center to the oval bust. Okay, so I'm using my cover. We're trying to get like a sweetheart neckline, right? So that is what I have there, and I'll try to cover out the other side to the shape of the one I'm making. All right, so remember that I said the initial one I marked is not the style, is not the neckline we're working with, so I have to correct that. So I'm just using my pencil to just try to try to get the shape I want. Now for the shape we want, it's going to connect back to the armhole line. All right, so we have to connect it back to the armhole line. So I'm just going to use my ruler. I don't know how to do freehand something, no. Or freehand sketching, and I'm not good at that, so I'll just use my ruler to do it because I don't know, I just don't know how to do the whole hand freehand like sketching and all of that. So this one is going to be entering the armhole line, and now you might be asking, if it's entering the armhole line, do I still need to replace that 2 inches I took for the tightening at the overbust? The truth is, it depends on where the curve connects to. If it connects directly to your chest line, which is the armhole line, right, what you just need to do is check what you have around that armhole line and replace it back. You don't need to take that 2 inches at the overbust and put on there. You can still do that if you're scared, so you'll be on the safer side. All right, you can have excess, and then when you're sewing, you just go ahead and take it off. But this is how it works, or this is how it works for me. You see, I'm just showing you, I'm teaching you based off of how it works for me. So you can as well, try to see how it works for you and then take what works for you. But what you're going to do is just to measure what you have that you took around that chest line and replace it back. Okay, or you can still do the 2 inches, but I think it's going to be too much to replace that on the chest line because we are not using the overbust at the end of the day. I don't know if you understand, but you can still do it other way. Anyhow you want to do it, just make sure you're replacing the things you removed there. That's the most important things. You can replace it back, and then at the end of the day, you just go ahead and remove it when you're what's it called, when you're taking your measurement, right? Okay, so that is it. I don't know if that makes sense. So for the things we have around our, for the excess or for the dart we took around our chest line, for the overbust tightening around the chest line area, I'm just going to measure what I have and replace it back. So that is just it. So I went ahead to clean off the other stuff so you don't get confused on the one we are working with and all of that. And I like my pattern looking neat, so I'll go ahead and start taking our measurement. All right, so for the under bust, my under bust is different from my waist, and I would always advise you take those measurements. Okay, don't just assume that your waist and your other bust measurements are the same. It's not the same for some people. Some is bigger while some is smaller, or for me it is smaller. So my under bust, I divided it by 4 and I replaced my dart which I took for the waist, and I will just mark it. I did the same thing for my waistline. My waist divided by 4 plus the darts that we took, and then at that hem I went ahead to mark my hip divided by 4. Now this is another thing, I did not directly mark my hip measurement. Like something I did, I tried to extend the, I tried to imagine where the hip should be, and then I took the measurement. I don't know if you understand, but you can go ahead and use your hip measurement divided by 4. And but I always advise you use like, let your top length be up to the hip line, and then mark your hip divided by 4 at the hip line, and then cut off the part you need. take the part which your top length is and remove the other one. It helps you to get the accurate measurement around your top length. I don't know if that makes sense. Now on the chest line, I went ahead to also replace what we had around that tightening that we did for the over bust. And you can see I replaced, I think I had about 1 or 1 point something, and then that's when I went ahead to mark. Now I'm going ahead to put my bust dart, which is 2 inches, and that is what I did. I hope this voice note or voiceover is well explained. I just like to make sure I explain something for you to understand, and I hope you understand it. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Excuse me. So now, if you decide to have a dart line aside your waist dart line, this is what you have to do. For me, I won't be using it, but I'm just doing it for illustration purposes. All right. So what I did was from the that's if I divided the side into two, like you can see in the video. I divided that side into two for me to get a place I want to put my darts. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and do like a freestyle. Just put it how you want it, however you want your shape or that line to look like, however you want the star line, let me call it star line, to look like. You're just going to draft it or draw it that way. So I made mine to be slanted. And now, how much you take on that is dependent on how much you want to remove or contour from your waist. Okay, so we are trying to snatch our waist. Our waist is 38. We are snatching it by 2 inches, so that means in total I want to have 36 inches. And for the front, I'll be snatching 1 inch. Okay, so 1 inch divided by 4, that's 0.25, right? So we are taking 0.25 on both sides, meaning we've taken half inch for one side of this paper. And remember, paper is usually on fold, so when you open it, it means you've taken 1 inch in total. But in the pattern here, we've taken just half inch. I don't know if that makes sense. So in doing this, it will help to snatch your waist. There are different ways to snatch, but I think this is one of the best ways, so that your cloth is going to look beautiful and nice. So I went ahead to indicate the first, second, and third, so you don't get confused, because it's going to be in pieces. For me, I'm not using this, but for you that want to use it, this is how you should do it. Okay, so now around the waist, I'm going to come down by 3 inches, and I'm going to connect it to the top length, or to the end of the paper. Remember, this paper is not enough for me, so I'm going to add another paper. But before then, I'll just go ahead and connect. But I want my corset to be a little bit pointy, like let the basque effect be pointy. So I'll go ahead and add some paper so I can um increase the length. Now remember, I said I was not going to be using that's recreated, but I still need to snatch my waist. Now you can decide to snatch your waist more still on your waistline, all right, around your main dart. You can decide to do that, but for me, I don't want to do that. What you do, if you want to do that, the only thing you just have to do is to just mark 0.25 on the waistline, not on the underbust, for your actual darts. All right, but for me, I won't be doing that. I want to do that from the side. Okay, so from the side, I'm just going to go ahead and mark half inch. All right, I'll mark my half inch and I will reconnect. I hope this makes sense. If you do not understand and you have any question, please go ahead and drop it in the comment section, and I will be there to answer all your questions. Okay, so like I said, you can do that on your actual dart line, or on the side, or also at the new darts we created initially. So those are different ways you can create your darts, or so you can tighten or snatch your waist. Okay, you can as well minus your measurement before marking it. Do you understand? So it all depends on how you want it. So I went ahead to add more paper to my distance, to my pattern, and I just go ahead and mark. I think I initially wanted this to even be more longer, and I don't know why I didn't even make it more longer, but I might eventually add to it later if I feel, because at the end of the day, I wasn't really feeling the basque effect. I wanted it to be really really pointed like the inspo. Okay, but this is what we have so far. But that aside, we're just going to go ahead and connect with our ruler, and it depends on what you want. However you want it, please go ahead and do it. If you want yours to even be low, don't want the basket to be too long, you don't want, just do whatever you want. There is no formula or particular method. It's just what you want. Okay, for me, this is what I want. but the basque effect is not looking so pronounced, so I think I'll eventually go ahead and do that later. So maybe when I'm sewing or something, or when I'm cutting the pattern. Now, having done this now, the next thing we are going to be doing is I want to extend the hip line. That's not, it's not necessarily hip, but around that waist that we came down by 3, I want to extend it a little bit, so it's going to, stand a little. Okay, so I just want to extend it a little. I think I did by half an inch, and I'll connect it back to the waistline like so. So at the end of the day, we've contoured, or we've snatched our waistline, and we've also extended our waistline. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to show you or tell you that we're not making use of that star line, or that to created around the side anymore. Okay, we're not using it. So the next thing we're just going to do is to find a way to cut our dart open, so we can reshape the shape of this our basket fit. For you to get your basket fit and for it to be okay, you need to close up your dart and remeasure it. Please always do that, so that your one side is not going to be longer. And when I open it up and try to close it, you will see what I'm talking about. Because if you don't do this and you just go ahead and use what you have here, at the end of the day, by the time you're done cutting the paper and you're cutting your fabric, you will notice that one side of the basque effect is longer or shorter. Okay, so after cutting off, I cut open my bust dart as well, and I'm just going to try to close up the dart so that we'll see what we have on that waist, and I'll use my tape to just hold the under bust side firmly. Okay, so now just take a look at the basque effect or the hemline of our top. You'll see there is difference. You're seeing that almost like about 1 inch or 0.75 difference. So you're seeing that one side is longer and one side is shorter. So at this point, you're just going to go ahead and use your ruler to just reshape your basque effect. Okay, connect it to the right one. So that is what I mean by this. All this my plenty explanation. I hope you guys are understanding this, because if you don't understand it, or if you're not paying attention now, and your own, and I don't want to hear that after watching this whole thing or those videos, you don't know how to make a bustier that is very fine, that is going to stand, that is going to carry big breasts, or you don't know how to do bustier for big breasts. That one with me and you will get problem. But let's get started. Don't mind me, please. So we are done with the front. So this is what we have. And assuming you want the other side to also have the that, you obviously know you are going to have about 3 pieces. Okay, so but this is what we have so far. We'll go back to the back, and yeah, I've gone ahead to take my basic measurements for the back, the waist, the top length, the armhole, and yeah, that's it. And we're just going to go ahead and input our nipple to nipple measurement as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark that all around, and I will use my okay. And I think plenty and is in this my recording. I'm sorry, guys. So we are going to extend the chest line to the back, okay, because it's going to be very significant for us. And after doing that, I'll just come down by half an inch. I don't want the back to be straight. I want it to, a little bit slanted. So I will just go ahead and connect it to the armhole line. And after doing that, we're going to go ahead and put our nipple to nipple measurement on that chest line, and we're going to just go ahead and connect using our straight ruler. Okay, so after doing that, this is what we have. We're going to tighten or take our darts by, I'm just going to be using half inch. Normally you're supposed to be using 0.75 for a busty person, but I don't there's no, I don't really like using that on my corset, sorry, but I just wanted to add it there, just okay, so that to just have that line. Okay, so I did that 0.5 on both sides, on the waist and the hem of the top, sorry, and also on the chest line I took 0.25 on both sides, just for us to tighten that area. And on that chest line I'm going to replace what we have there. I marked my measurement already, and then I replaced the 0.25. I took that half an inch there. Then on the waistline I took my waist measurement plus the 1 inch for that we took there as well. Okay, so taking your waist divided by 4 plus your that. You might be wondering, oh, why don't I add allowances, like sewing allowance, to my pattern? I just don't know. I don't like doing that. Not because it's bad or anything, I don't know. I just like to add it on the fabric. So around the assumed hemline or the hip line of the back, because that's not the hip line, right? But we're just going to assume that's our hip line. I'm just going to go ahead and close up my dart first before I draw my basque effects, right? So at that the hemline or the top length, I didn't mark any measurement yet. I'm going to be using our front to get the exact measurement we are going to be having for the back. Now from the waistline, remember I've not taken my snatching for the back, so we are still going to do that. But what we are just going to do is to place the waist line for the front on the waistline for the back, and then we're just going to mark where that stops, and then that shows that that's where our measurement is going to be. I don't know if that makes sense, or where it's going to stop, something like that. Just follow what I'm doing, and trust me, you get it exactly as mine. So don't panic, right? So that is what I have, and I'm just going to use my ruler to connect. I'm just trying to measure the distance. Let me see what I have there. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and just connect that with a slightly curved ruler. Okay, so um please just, I don't know what I was doing again, but just go ahead and connect. Be cool. Now after connecting it, we are going to I'm going to also going to connect my bust point to the waist, um my bust point to the waistline as well. Yes, so after doing that, I will, I've remembered I said we've not snatched our side for the back as well, so I'll go ahead and do that. And after doing that, I'll bring back my front again for us to cross check, okay, to be sure that the this one we have is still the same. Now because we did not contour or snatch that time, it's not going to obviously not going to be the same. Okay, so make sure that your waistline for the front is at the waistline for the back, very important. So, and if you notice, I'm using the side, meaning we've already closed the side, that the bust that for the side, so everything here is supposed to be equal. Do you understand? So having done that, now we now have the actual go hip line at the side for the back, if that makes sense to you. I don't know, but just follow what I'm doing, follow my lead, follow who no road. So after doing that, I will still go ahead and close up my bust that again, so we can draw out our basque waistline. All right, now this is optional. You can try to connect down to the end of the paper, but because it's the back now, you don't need too much, and you want to make sure that you do it in a way that the person is comfortable and can be able to sit properly. Okay, so I've gone ahead to draw it to the actual um waistline or the actual length of the blouse. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And yeah, if you've watched this point and you found or you find this video very helpful, please don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section telling me thank you, and don't forget to wait for the next part, which is the part 2, and that will be the sewing part. Okay, so for the from the center from the center back, rather, I want to open up, for your corset, you have to open up where your the opening at the back for the lacing, right? For your lacing bar, you can try to take as much as you want, but for me, I don't like it being too open. Okay, and we've already snatched, so you want it to be in a way that no matter how it is, maybe she doesn't want it even to be snatched, it can still close up so the back doesn't look too open. You get, it doesn't, it's not so fine when the back is too open. I don't fancy that. I just feel like it's not professionally done. So I took 1.25 from the center and I connected straight to the other side, to the hemline, and I did not remove anything at the end. If you watch closely, you're going to see that I only took out 1.25 from the center, and the other side is still the same measurement. Okay, so I'm trying to explain to you guys that here is where our lacing bar is going to be. So I went ahead to draw out the lacing bar kind of signal or symbol, sorry, and then marked my lacing bar kind of, so you see, and you know that that's where it's going to be. Does that make sense? Yes. So after doing that, we're just going to go ahead and cut our pattern, and we are basically done with this whole drafting. And I just want to say a very big thank you for watching to this end. If you did, please don't forget to like this video, drop a comment in the comment section, and most importantly, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to also share this video to your loved ones, the people that if you want it or need it, Thank you so much, guys. So I went ahead to just label the center, the side, and up, so we don't get confused. Okay. And after doing that, I'll just go ahead and cut out my dart. You can say not to cut your dart, just fold it. But for me, I just want to cut it, and I want us to have that line. Okay. So I'll go ahead and do that. And after doing that, this is the fabric we'll be working with. So I'll see you guys in our next part. Thank you so much. Bye. Don't forget to stay tuned.